Did you know the United States right now, did you hear this, Ken? The United States right now is trying to raise $800 billion to build infrastructure in third world countries. I'm all for helping people. But last I checked, our bridges were breaking down too. Almost $1 trillion, 800 billion. Now I see you're going, why in the hell would they do that? Here's the reason, is because we are concerned that China is taking the lead globally in terms of their relationship, the nature of the relationship with emerging market countries who've got massive natural resources. I'm talking about down in South America, and I'm talking over in Africa right now. So China just came out and said, we're going to go ahead and spend 1.4 billion. I don't know if it's US currency or if it's yen, which would come out to like $900 these days. I don't know what it is with their currency, but now the United States is saying, well, hold on a second. We can't let China outspend us to international prominence.
I think the coolest part, click on the little sandwich button, scroll down, you can see your members, all the events, but the mini master classes, that's what's going to set this apart, along with the master classes that are coming. But now you can click on the mini master class that you like. It's broken down into sections. You've got the process here. You can scroll down, watch the video if you want. They're not very long. They're about 5 minutes each. And you can go and click on the PDF, and there you have all the notes for that specific mini master class. To me,
LabCoatAgents, Sean Curley here with none other than Brian Stevens with the National Real Estate Post. Mr. Brian, like I tell everybody, they need to download your mobile app. Go to your app, the app store or whatever device that you have, type in NREP, and then they will get a daily video blog of you talking about some of these topics that we're going to be covering today.
Yep.
And it's just good to stay on top of what the hell's going on in this industry from a lender perspective, from a real estate perspective, and also just from an economic perspective, which some of the people that you get on your show, like I do believe you're going to have Barry Habib this week. So guys, if you don't have the app, download this damn app. It is vital. I've been watching this beautiful, handsome gentleman for over 10 years every single day. And Brian, I appreciate your efforts, but let's jump into it. We just talked a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about the Fed. We were expecting a rate hike. Everyone was expecting a rate hike of at least 50 bips. Well, the Fed came out over the top and raised it up 75 bips. So their benchmark rate that that the banks lend to each other or borrow against, or things that happen with your home equity lines of credit and other short-term lending, got hit with a 3/4 of a point hit to their rate. This is the biggest jump since 1994. Now, the reason why they're doing this is they're trying to heat off inflation. Inflation's out of control. I just went to Sam's yesterday, spent $500, and I could see the bottom of my cart. I'm like, what in the hell did I just get? Everything's just costing so much more due to inflation. The Fed's going to meet again next month in July. They're expecting another half point to 3/4 of a point raise again. One, is this enough? And two, do you think the Fed's just over their heads on this? Like, what do you think is going on here?
Yeah, I do think the Fed's over their head. This goes back to when it became apparent that this was the road we were going to be going down. And we were hearing mixed messages from the Fed, as we still are. And the Fed's never been that. The Fed has always come out and had one unified message, as we spoke about before, where we drip on every word that the Fed says to figure out what they're going to do. We've lost those days. The Fed's all over the board with this stuff right now. And in fact, the Cleveland Fed chief just came out and said it's going to be 2 years. It's going to be 2 years before we get back down to 2% inflation. I did a 50-year search. We've never had 2% inflation. So the Fed is saying right now, the Cleveland Fed is saying, starting right now, it's going to take 2 years to get the lowest inflation we've ever had in the history of our country. How can you say that with a straight face? Everybody out here who's looking at this stuff saying, can we just go from record high inflation and come off of that number? Like, we don't have to say, let's have the lowest inflation in the history of the world when we're currently sitting at the highest that we've had in decades and decades. So that tells me that they're a little bit out of touch. And it's also not a message that's being mirrored by your guys, your St. Louis Fed, by the Minneapolis Fed, by the New York Fed. Nobody else is mirroring these statements. And you're finding these little island of statements with different activities and actions that each one of the individual Feds is taking. And it is at odds with each other. And I think the reason is because we've never basically created an inflation in the way that created a recession in the way that we've done this one. We've never printed trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of United States greenbacks, right? And just put them into the economy. So nobody really knows what happened. We're being a little redundant here, but we added 40% more dollars to our currency. It's an enormous number. 40% more. I mean, the number is astronomical. So nobody knew it was going to happen. So maybe it's not that the Fed's outside of what they're doing. Maybe those that are taking monetary, national and international monetary policy from the United States standpoint, maybe those are the people who don't know what they're doing. Not just the Fed, but also we're looking at the actions from the Treasury, by extension, the executive branch. And here's an interesting thing that I just heard. Did you know the United States right now, did you hear this, Ken? The United States right now is trying to raise $800 billion to build infrastructure in third world countries. I'm all for helping people. But last I checked, our bridges were breaking down too. Almost $1 trillion, 800 billion. Now I see you're going, why in the hell would they do that? Here's the reason, is because we are concerned that China is taking the lead globally in terms of their relationship, the nature of their relationship with emerging market countries who've got massive, massive natural resources. I'm talking about down in South America, and I'm talking over in Africa right now. So China just came out and said, we're going to go ahead and spend 1.4 billion. I don't know if it's US currency or if it's yen, which would come out to like $900 these days. I don't know what it is with their currency, but now the United States is saying, well, hold on a second. We can't let China outspend us to international prominence. And I'm thinking to myself, why not? Our country is our economy is in shambles right now. We're getting mixed messages from everybody. And you're telling me you're doubling down on that and raising nearly $1 trillion to build infrastructure in third world countries and emerging markets. We kind of knew, Sean, that this wasn't going to be the funnest of shows that we've done in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're looking at these type of actions that are taking place, it does really leave one scratching their head.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you. This is, in my eyes, time to circle the wagons and fix within before you overextend again, or even more. I mean, our necks are out on the chopping block. And the damn thing's coming down. So, it's interesting because you brought up China, but they're having their own issues over there with their own banks being frozen since April. And it's like, I don't know. This is just a giant, I'm going to write an IOU type mentality worldwide with some of these major powers. And hopefully somebody that's a lot smarter than us has a brilliant plan.
By the way, and Russia just defaulted on their debt payment for the first time since 1918 today.
So you have Istanbul and now Russia. Anybody else on that list?
I don't know. But the Stevens family, how about that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think my wife and I and the family need to have a conversation that let's buy some ramen and let's just sit back for a little while.
I did it. Brown rice, white rice, lentils, legumes, beans, non-perishables. Time to double down on that stuff.
He sounds like doomsdayer. Is like, okay, the rockets are coming, or the aliens are coming. Anyway, some more positive news. 15% of renters were behind on their monthly payments. Yeah. So you have 8.4 million people having issues making their rent payments. We were talking about issues here in the United States. Is it just too damn expensive to live here now? Buying a house, renting anything.
Well, it's now more expensive to rent in every major market than it is to own a house.
Okay.
And rents are going up astronomically. And when we have 15% of people who are behind on their rents, and the numbers are pretty striking. It's like 2 million people face imminent eviction who make under $25,000 a year. It's like 1.5 million people face imminent eviction who make between $35,000 and $50,000 a year. But the numbers are pretty stark. I mean, and then of course, after you're making $100,000, chances are you're not going to get evicted. But the numbers are pretty stark. And it's really what the conclusion we had to come down to is like, can we no longer afford to live in this country? Can we no longer afford to live in our own country? Mm-hmm. And it kind of looks like the answer is yes. Now, the whole thing, Sean, is if you're in the real estate game or the lending game, and we've seen all these prices going up, or we've seen rents going up, we knew we were going to hit this ceiling. We knew this was coming. And have we finally gotten to the place where we simply can no longer afford to live here anymore? And that's why, again, we've had this conversation that's why, calling this a national crisis, a national disaster, and having either new home builders forcing them to the table or doing something to build new, smarter homes. It seems like it has to happen, because every day, every week that I wake up, and I start going through my feeds, it's the same thing over and over again. And I kind of think we're just up against that wall right now. And if we don't make changes really soon, we're going to start to see Dust Bowl type of, soup lines.
Yeah. And one thing that we talked about months ago, just your idea of getting the Army Corps of Engineers to just start building some entry level, not tiny homes, but just some track houses, something like that, just to get some affordable housing for folks. Because, one strategy that we always say is that you can lock in your monthly obligation for housing by buying a house. You're not subject to rents going up to 20.1% that they did over the past 12 months. But the issue is normally for a renter, in most cases, they're having issues finding an affordable single family resident, 2-unit, whatever it is, to get that fixed in, because a lot of the folks that are affected with the rents is people that aren't making a lot of money. So therefore they are priced out of this market. So it's, I don't know, it's just so much easier said than done. Like, oh, we'll just go find a house and get locked in and, get a 30-year fix. And then you can always refinance it whenever we hit this recession and go down. But finding the damn house that they qualify for with a payment is proving very, very large. And I would hate for what you just said about the soup lines coming to fruition. But I know that's dark times are on the horizon.
But, I mean, because there has to be a positive spin, because somebody in real estate lending is finding success right now. Again, ad nauseum we speak about this, but I would go by lists. I'd buy very specific lists if I was a real estate agent, and I would go after inventory. Inventory is what everyone wants, everyone needs right now. So I would have my strategies built around inventory. As we spoke about before, find that person with a 600 credit score who's owned their house for 3 years. They have equity and they have to sell because they've screwed up their credit. They've over leveraged themselves, and this is killing us with the inflation that we have. The other thing that I would do is I would start to look at boomers. I would go and I would find lists of those who are over the age of 75 who are still in their homes. Mm-hmm. And then Becky's, what type of business is it downstairs? What is it called?
Senior care.
Senior care. I would, if I was a real estate agent, I would go, and these senior care places are everywhere now. They are everywhere. It's where seniors want to age in place. And I would go to these senior care places and say, hey, listen, you're going to find some of your clients right now who you have like these faux nurses who are going into their houses who are no longer capable of being independent. I mean, it's just going to happen. And I would say, as a real estate agent, can I get a list of some of these people? And oh, by the way, you have a right to go ahead and give a referral fee to that person. You actually do as a real estate agent. So I would go find places where seniors are congregating right now. And I would start to have meaningful conversations, going to libraries, going to senior centers, going to a freaking Denny's. I'm not kidding you. Like, I would go find places where boomers congregate, because they by and large own their house. They own them free and clear, and they are all coming of age right now. And with the summer months upon us right now, where oftentimes it does become more difficult for somebody to live independently in their home when you get these extreme weather patterns that are coming in here, this might be a great time to do that. So just understand, the inventory is out there. Somebody's going to get it. It just can be you if you choose to.
Yeah, the people that hustle find different ways than what was been working for the past 10 years.
Yeah,
they're the people who are going to survive. So I hate to say it, but sometimes this industry does need a purge of getting the non-players out of it. And agents are going through their CE right now, trying to get all of their license renewed. We'll see what happens to agent count. Same thing for lenders. Let's talk about what happened today. Holy hell! FGMC, one of the larger players, larger brokers in the area, just laid off 80% of their staff. Now,
yeah, that's bad.
I remember back in the 2007, 8, 9, 10 area, where we had a website that we had to log into, especially being, whenever I was a broker, that we would log into to make sure that the bank that I qualified the Joneses on and that we're closing tomorrow, that this bank that I sent them to was still in business. It was called the aplodometer.com.
Yeah.
And it was scary to where I would have somebody through and we're closing tomorrow, but then I look and like, oh, XYZ Bank is no longer with us, and they were approved and supposed to close with XYZ Bank tomorrow. So then I had to hustle and find them a different home that was still in business. I'm not saying that we're going back to that, but hell, FGMC, better.com, there was,
but
there's been layoffs everywhere.
Here's the thing. When we're looking at the better.coms of the world,
Sure.
you're looking at technology first, mortgage company second companies,
Mhm.
technology first, real estate second companies. That's what you're getting there. And the company who's laying off 80% of their workforce right now, they're owned by PIMCO, which is a big lender out there, deep pockets, but they are strictly a non-QM company. So they're just offering non-qualified mortgages. And remember back when like the whole COVID thing came out, like non-QM just disappeared. By the way, Zillow disappeared, Open Door disappeared, OfferPad disappeared. All the technology first companies disappeared because there was uncertainty in the market, and the non-QM disappeared for a few months. And then once we realized COVID wasn't going to kill everybody, everything started kind of coming back in. It's that same type of uncertainty that's knocking off businesses. Of course, your agency type of lenders and your independent mortgage bankers and your mortgage brokers and your local market that you're working with, they're going to be fine. It's the companies that they work for and the companies that they broker to. Some of them are not going to be fine. But it's okay as long as they have honest, clear relationships with their real estate agents and their lenders out there. I mean, it's going to be just fine.
Yeah. And, not to say that we haven't been, we haven't been numb to it as well. We've experienced slowdown. If you just look at anybody's numbers from a real estate agent to a lender, I would be hard pressed to find somebody that's up this year just because of, with interest rates and also with inventory issues. But going to your local lender and saying, hey, I want to X amount for a spend somewhere, that might be a little bit tougher to get somebody to give over a credit card these days compared to what it was in years past, for sure, just because of revenues being down so much.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. I don't know, because normally lenders, we come in with the coffee, the bagels, and the credit card for lead gen. If you're going to be in this market, you have to have some differentiating factors and work on some.
Go in there with strategies. If you're a lender watching this right now, go talk to your realtors and say, hey, listen, we have a symbiotic relationship. We're going after the same client, but not the same dollar. Let's put together some strategies. Let's put together some lists. Let's put together some calling dates.
Yeah. Let's
go to, I had a gal out there in Festus. She did this with some of her real estate agents. They went to a local watering hub and they'd all have a beer so they would loosen up and they would start calling lists. And they would do it together. I mean, find reasons to go out there and crowdsource your ideas and your marketing. If you're a real estate agent, work with other agents, because it's easier when things are hard to watch other people suffer with you. It just is. Yeah. It makes those hard conversations easier because you can have a moment of levity. And when you see somebody else succeeding, that makes you want to succeed. Do it with your lender right now. These are the activities that are going to help real estate agents and lenders through the dog days of summer. And boy, these are going to be the dog days of summer.
Yeah, just an example that I personally experienced, I created a Monopoly board for a calling night. And, of course, on there is like you got an appointment or got told to F off or wrong number, whatever. And you get some pizza, some beer, some wine, whatever. And you have a couple cocktails if you choose to indulge. And it was fun because many hands make light work. And suck loves company, so I'm more willing to endure the suck if you're along with me. So I do love that strategy, and it's back to the basics, 101 stuff.
I agree.
This just hustle. So I know there was a lot of doom and gloom topics there. Besides what some of the positive that we talked about, do you have anything else maybe that's rolling off the top of your head right now that you wanted to share?
I'm going to have a great time on the 4th of July. I think everybody else should use that as a moment to reflect on their business, their family, their country, and be grateful for all of it. And then just go hit it on the 5th, sharpen your teeth, pin your ears back, and just go make the best of what you got in front of you, because somebody's going to close these deals.
Yeah,
somebody's going to close them. So just leave it at that.
For sure. Well, Brian, my man, I appreciate you. You have an amazing holiday with you and your family. I'm going to do the same. And we'll see you back here in August. So since we do have the 4th of July coming up, that will be our next show, will be in August.
All righty, my friend. I look forward to seeing you, and I appreciate all you guys.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.